Samson fills the family pool with water for the summer. After 2 hours, the water has reached a depth of 2.5 feet. After 3 hours, the water level has risen to 3 3/4 feet. Sorry, that was a cat. If the relationship between time and water depth is proportional, what is the constant of proportionality? Now, the first thing I noticed as I was going through and reading this is that there's some sneaky numbers in there. So right here, I see a 2, and right here, I see a 3. Now, remember, constant of proportionality means we do what? Divide. Constant of proportionality always means to divide. Now, we get to just choose two numbers because when you divide, you can only divide with two numbers. So we get to pick two, and they always come from the same sentence. So, for instance, in the first sentence, it says, after 2 hours, the water has reached a depth of 2.5 feet. So I'm only going to choose numbers out of this, or you could only choose numbers from 3 3/4 and 3. I'm going to just do the first sentence because that's always easier for me. So it says, what I would do is I would divide. So I would do 2.5 divided by 2. 2 goes into 2 once. 1 times 2 is 2. Subtracting that gives me 0. Drop down the 5. 2 goes into 5 twice. 2 times 2 is 4. Subtracting that gives me 1. Add another 0. There's already a decimal, so I don't have to add a decimal. And then 2 goes into 10 5 times. Bring that decimal straight up, and we get that k, or the constant of proportionality, equals 1.25. Melody is running in a 5K event. Her father records the time at 3 places. If Melody runs at a constant rate per minute, which statement best describes the constant of proportionality? Well, for one thing, constant of proportionality means divide. But for another thing, I see a table. When I see a table, what do? I draw arrows. Now, usually I would say that M or K equals right side over left side. But in this case, there is no right or left, so I would say that M or K equals the bottom over the top. Well, first, I got to do some math. So how do I get from 9 to 18? I do 18 minus 9, which gives me 9. And then up here, how would I get from 1.5 to 3? I would do 3 minus 1.5. And that gives me 1.5. Then I just take my bottom and I divide it by my top. So I have 9 divided by 1.5. 9 goes on the inside because it's on top. Out here, I have a decimal. So I got to take this decimal and I go and move it one place to the right, which means I add a decimal onto my 9 and then I move that one place to the right. And then that blank goes as 0. So I have 15 going into 90. 15 goes into 90 6 times. 6 times 15 is 90. So I subtract and that gives me 0. And I find that my k equals 6. Last week, Matilda earned $103.50 for babysitting for 9 hours. There's another sneaky number. She will earn $138 this week when she works for 12 hours. There's another sneaky number. Which of the following equations, there's not an equation there, but we want to find the constant of proportionality. That's what we're doing. So how do we find constant of proportionality? Constant of proportionality means that we divide. All right. Remember, I only need 2 numbers. I usually just take my 2 numbers from the first sentence I see, which in this case is 103.50 for 9 hours. So I would do 103.50 divided by 9. You could also do 138 divided by 12. 9 does not go into 1. It does go into 10 one time. 1 times 9 is 9. Subtracting that gives me 1. Drop down that 3. 9 goes into 13 one time. 1 times 9 is 9. Subtracting that gives me 4. Drop down my 5. 9 goes into 45 5 times. And 9 times 5 is 45. Subtracting that gives me 0. Drop down that last 0 and 9 goes into 0 times. Bring up that decimal and we get that k equals $11.50 per hour. Next one. This says what value best represents the constant of proportionality. So that means we're going to find k. Now, k or m on a graph is rise over run. So I go from dot to dot. And in this case, they gave me some dots. So I'm going to go from here to here. First, I need to see how much we rose. But there are no numbers right here, so I need to figure out what my numbers are. I see 8 and 16. Halfway in between 8 and 16 is a 12. And then halfway in between 8 and 12 is 10. And then this would be, since it's counting by twos, I have 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Beautiful. Now we have some numbers. So now I ask myself, okay, how many do I go up? I go up 3, and each one is worth 2. So I do 3 times 2, and that gives me 6. So I went up 1, 2, 3 squares, and then 3 times 2, because all of these go up by 2, gives me 6. And then I go over 1 to the right, and if we look, it goes from 2 to 3, so that only goes over once. So I would do my rise over my run, and it rises 6 because it goes from 12 to 18, and then it runs 1. So I would have 3, no, sorry, that was 6. 6 over 1, which gives me 6. This one says Marco bought a box of nails at the hardware store for $3.60. If the box contains 180 nails, the equation 3.60 equals 180k can be used to determine the unit cost of the nail, which best describes k. So it wants me to solve for k. Well, if you look at k, what operation is happening to it right now? Multiplication. So how do you get rid of multiplication? Division. So you divide both sides by 180. We put 3.60 on the inside because it is on top, and we put 180 on the outside. 180 does not go into 3. We bring up that decimal. 180 does not go into 36, but it does go into 360, and it goes in twice. So I have 2 times 180. And that does give me 360. Now, right here, where the 0 is, where the x is, I should have put a 0. So you have that it equals 0.02